The White House said their discussion was very productive, and Zelensky said on X that they discussed a lot one-on-one, and he's hoping for results on everything they covered, including a full and unconditional ceasefire and reliable and lasting peace. Zelensky described the meeting as very symbolic.
It's simply a matter of them bending the knee again to Trump. It is the cult-like mentality that we see that is becoming pervasive in this country, where they say that he's our ruler. It doesn't matter what he does.
What happens when someone finally says what everyone else is thinking, right in front of the cameras? Well, that is exactly what went down during GS Week. With the world watching, Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett grabbed the spotlight and dropped a series of truth bombs that left Donald Trump visibly shaken. No filters, no sugarcoating. She exposed everything, from his legal chaos to his questionable patriotism. You could feel the shift in the room. Was this the moment that tore down the illusion? Can Trump still dodge the reality closing in on him? Stick around, because what happened next will leave you speechless.
I don't understand why we're wasting taxpayer dollars. Next time, tell your big boy to show up and be ready to handle the woman in the room who hopefully will become the next president of the United States.
A pivotal moment, Trump versus Crockett at GS Week. Donald Trump, known for his sharp comebacks and fearless attitude, finally faced someone who did not flinch, Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett. She was not there to play nice or deliver a typical speech. She arrived with facts, confidence, and an energy that couldn't be ignored. It all happened during GS Week. What was supposed to be just another event for Trump quickly turned into something much bigger. On live television, Jasmine Crockett laid it all out, calling him out in a way no one expected. Viewers couldn't look away, screens were locked in, mouths open, as she exposed issue after issue right there for the world to see. Trump, famous for loving a fight and never backing down, looked completely unprepared. Jasmine was not afraid, and she did not hold back. She directly addressed everything others avoided, and you could almost feel the tension rising as the moment played out. But who exactly is Jasmine Crockett? Jasmine Crockett, a voice of bold leadership. She is a bold, determined voice who is never afraid to stand up for what she believes in. Coming from modest roots, she has built her career through determination, courage, and a refusal to be silenced. This was not her first tough moment, and it won't be her last. This is the kind of moment that shows what real leadership looks like. While Trump has spent years surrounded by controversy, lawsuits, and endless self-promotion, Jasmine Crockett has been busy standing up for her community and fighting against unfairness wherever it appears, exposing Trump's hypocrisy and impact. During GS Week, with the whole country watching, Crockett did not just call out Trump. She tore down the story he has been telling about himself for years. From playing the victim to flipping positions on big issues, she exposed everything clearly and fearlessly. Her words were so direct and sharp that no one could twist or ignore them. Standing in front of Trump and Melania, she boldly declared that it was time for some hard lessons. And in that instant, the mood in the room completely changed. It was not just a comment, it was a clear warning. Crockett made it clear that the country is struggling. The people hold the real power, and Trump's usual drama won't work anymore. In addition to the points made during the confrontation, it's important to note how Crockett's challenge to Trump's hypocrisy served as a broader commentary on political integrity. She underscored that it wasn't just about Trump's actions, but also about the culture of political discourse he had helped foster. His approach to governance, which often involved shifting blame and responsibility, had contributed to a deepening divide within the American political landscape. Crockett's remarks echoed the frustrations of many who had grown disillusioned with a system that seemed to prioritize self-interest over the public good. By calling out these contradictions, she aimed to reignite the conversation on what true leadership should look like, one that aligns with moral and ethical standards.
That's how Democratic Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett of Dallas began her speech Saturday before the Human Rights Campaign. Minutes later, she made the remarks that have made national headlines.
Crockett's call for accountability, the legal and ethical issues. The whole exchange was raw, intense, and unforgettable. For once, Trump was not running the show. He was caught off guard, visibly frustrated, and completely unready for someone like Jasmine Crockett, a person brave enough to say what others won't. This was not just another heated argument. It felt like a wake-up call. If Trump thought he could take control of GS Week like he has done so many times before, this proved the game has changed. Voices like Jasmine Crockett's are not just speaking anymore. They're demanding attention and refusing to be ignored. Building on her call for accountability, Crockett's remarks also illustrated the urgent need for systemic reforms in how political leaders are held accountable. She emphasized that Trump's pattern of evading legal repercussions wasn't just a personal issue, but a national one. If a former president could sidestep consequences, what message did that send to future leaders? Crockett's focus was not just on Trump, but on creating an environment where all leaders, regardless of status or power, were held to the same ethical standards. Her call for accountability extended to both the legal system and the political structures that allowed such evasions to take place. This is a reflection of the growing demand across the country for greater transparency and justice in leadership, the MAGA cult and blind loyalty. While others hesitated, Crockett stood firm and exposed what's really happening. She called out how decisions being made are hurting schools, limiting opportunities, and making life harder for everyday people. And just like he always does when things get uncomfortable, Trump slipped into his usual routine, claiming he is being treated unfairly, the media's against him, the system's out to get him. Same excuse, different day. But Crockett was not buying it. She faced him directly, saying in no uncertain terms, "Stop acting like a victim. You have held power. You have shaped this system. And now that things are catching up to you, you want people to feel sorry for you?" She made it crystal clear that Trump is not some underdog. He is the reason so many problems exist in the first place. The room shifted, the energy changed, and it did not stop there. One of the most powerful moments came when Crockett pointed to Trump's refusal to even be honest about serious issues, like Russia's invasion of Ukraine. She called out his willingness to lie to protect Putin, making it clear this is not just about politics. It is about real danger. It was not a catchy soundbite. It was a serious warning. Crockett made sure everyone understood that these are not small problems. The risks are huge, and the truth matters now more than ever. During a human rights campaign event, a comment was made about someone using a wheelchair, and House Speaker Mike Johnson was quick to criticize it. But Jasmine Crockett did not stop there. She took the conversation wider, turning the focus to Trump's messy handling of international relationships. She questioned why the U.S. was picking fights with friendly countries like Greenland and Canada, while getting along with leaders like Putin. It was not just a casual remark. It made people across the nation pause and wonder how things had gotten so backwards. These are countries that have always stood with the U.S., yet Trump chose to create pointless tensions while warming up to dictators. The growing divide in American politics.
Entering a Pennsylvania arena like a prize fighter. President Trump may have picked up some pointers in the front row for a college wrestling tournament, not short on sparring partners.
As the political landscape continues to evolve, the divide between the two major parties has become more apparent than ever. While figures like Trump continue to promote a narrative of victimhood and blame, leaders like Jasmine Crockett are shedding light on the systemic issues that fuel these divides. Crockett's direct approach and sharp criticism are a wake-up call, not just to Trump, but to a larger system that has allowed this kind of politics to thrive. The growing gap between political elites and the American people has created an environment where misinformation flourishes, and accountability is often ignored. Crockett's willingness to confront these issues head-on highlights the urgency of addressing the root causes of this divide. From economic inequality to the erosion of trust in democratic institutions, the challenges facing the country are becoming harder to ignore. While many in the GOP and MAGA movement prefer to bury their heads in the sand, Crockett's words serve as a reminder that change is necessary for the survival of the nation's democratic values. Trump's wealth and legal troubles. Crockett did not sugarcoat it. She called the situation exactly what it was, a disaster, not a presidency. Then she switched gears and tackled Trump's long list of legal troubles. She pulled them out one by one, comparing them to collecting trading cards, joking that it was like a game of gotta catch 'em all. The room burst into laughter, but the point hit hard. When you actually add up all the cases he is tangled in, It almost seems unreal. Except it is not a joke. It is the serious reality of a former president weighed down by real consequences. And Crockett made sure nobody ignored that fact. Furthermore, Crockett's remarks about Trump's wealth highlighted an ongoing discussion in America about wealth inequality and the disproportionate influence that the wealthy have over political systems. Trump's use of his financial resources to navigate legal challenges often draws attention to a broader issue within the U.S. legal system: how wealth can skew justice in favor of the affluent. This became particularly evident during Trump's numerous legal battles, where his ability to secure top-tier legal representation and delay legal processes exposed the stark disparities in how the law is applied to those with financial resources versus the average citizen. Crockett's critique was a pointed reminder that wealth should not be a shield against justice, and that the legal system needs to be reformed to ensure fairness for all. Crockett's strong message and its impact on the national conversation. Jasmine Crockett did not hold anything back. She said what many have quietly believed for years. If Trump did not have his wealth, power, and connections, he'd likely be sitting in a jail cell by now. And deep down, even some of his biggest fans know it. That's what makes it hit so hard. Crockett was not just giving a fiery speech. She was pulling back the curtain on a truth Trump has tried to cover up for years. In a long message on X, she later clarified that her earlier remarks weren't aimed at anyone's disability, but by then, her message had already landed. When it came to Trump's loyal MAGA crowd,
President Trump's plan to overhaul U.S. elections. The president wants to add a proof of citizenship requirement to the federal voter registration form, calling for the changes in an executive order last month. But a voting rights group and Democrats sued.
Crockett did not mince words. She called it what it is: a cult. No sugarcoating, no careful phrasing. She pointed out that this was not about politics or policies anymore. It is about blind loyalty to one person, no matter what he says or does. And in that moment, the room went quiet. No cheers, no boos, just a heavy silence as her words settled in. The truth is hard to ignore when it is laid out so clearly. Crockett made a sharp point. This is not regular political support. It is obsessive loyalty to a personality, not a cause or set of values. She made it clear this kind of following is dangerous. It feeds lies, deepens divides, and keeps the country stuck in endless conflict. How can things move forward when a large group refuses to face facts because their leader tells them not to? Crockett even reminded everyone of the time Trump openly mocked a disabled reporter during his 2015 campaign, a moment many haven't forgotten. Then, as if all that was not enough, she turned to Trump's favorite bragging point: his wealth, or as she hinted, the image of wealth, the act he has carefully built around being a billionaire, even as cracks in that story keep showing up. Jasmine Crockett boldly called out Trump's claims about being a billionaire, and she did not tiptoe around it. She asked, if he is really as rich as he says, why is he always scrambling to cover court fines? And honestly, it is a fair question. Trump loves to boast about his fortune, but when it is time to pay for lawsuits, fines, or settlements, there is always a delay, an excuse, or a call for donations from his supporters. Crockett even likened him to one of those social media influencers who rent luxury cars to appear rich online. You know the type. All flashy posts and no real money behind it. In Trump's case, it is all smoke and mirrors, and probably more mirrors than anything else. But she was not just making fun of him. Crockett had a bigger message. She pointed out how this endless drama, the MAGA loyalty, and the fake billionaire persona are not harmless. They're hurting everyday people. She kept it real and simple. While politicians are busy playing games, rural hospitals are closing, roads and bridges are crumbling, and people are losing access to essential services. Crockett made it clear, no complicated charts or drawn-out speeches needed. If leaders care more about their image and power than the people they serve, the whole system starts falling apart. And truth is, it is already happening. Jasmine Crockett nailed it with one of the most relatable lines of the event. Soon you'll see why we need someone who is boring but stable. Maybe Sleepy Joe was exactly what we needed. That moment hit hard, because in a world full of chaos, she reminded everyone that stability is not always exciting, but it is absolutely necessary. We do not need a president who thrives on drama. We need someone who can actually lead and keep things grounded." That line was not just funny, it was a vibe, a mood, and she did not hold back on Trump either, calling him a hot mess. But she was not finished. Just when you thought she'd already touched every nerve, she dove right into the ridiculous and dangerous parts of Trump's legacy, the so-called perfect phone calls and the infamous classified documents stashed away in his bathroom like they were old Christmas decorations.
Like so many Donald Trump rallies prior to last year's election, this one's full of MAGA hoopla. But now, 100 days into his second term in the White House,
it sounds like something out of a political comedy, not real life. But Crockett was not about to let that slide. With her signature blend of sarcasm and sharp accuracy, she roasted Trump effortlessly. She pointed out how he loves to boast about his perfect phone calls, like a kid trying to convince the teacher he did all his homework, even though it is clearly missing. Her line hit hard. If you have to tell everyone your call was perfect, it probably wasn't. And the crowd erupted because honestly, who brags like that unless they're hiding something? Crockett did not stop there. She also brought up how Trump mocked Serge Kovaleski, a reporter with a condition that limits his joint movement. It was not just about bad phone manners or stretching the truth. Crockett was highlighting the real issue here, the dangerous, dishonest behavior that has come to define Trump. This was about power, the way Trump abused it. He constantly pushed boundaries, dared the system to stop him, and when it finally did, he played the victim. Those so-called perfect phone calls? They weren't perfect at all. They were part of investigations into his attempts to interfere in U.S. elections, pressure foreign leaders, and twist the truth for his own benefit. And then there is the matter of the classified documents. That's where things went from reckless to outright dangerous. Crockett did not hold back. She made it clear we're talking about some of the most sensitive government materials, stuff that should be locked up in a secure facility, not lying around in a random bathroom at Mar-a-Lago. It sounded so absurd, it was almost laughable, but the reality was terrifying. These weren't just old newspapers or forgotten birthday cards. These were secrets that could jeopardize national security. And Trump, allegedly, had them sitting between toilet paper rolls and gold wallpaper. Crockett compared it to a kid who was caught red-handed, looking the teacher in the eye and saying, "I did not do it," while holding the evidence in their hand. She did not need to shout or make a scene. The facts spoke for themselves, and they were enough to make the situation clear. Her message was clear. This was not just careless behavior. It was criminal. If anyone else had done it, they'd already be locked up. Her approach was powerful, and people were drawn to her. When it came to Marjorie Taylor Greene, she made it clear this was not about her. What made the moment so strong was how Crockett delivered it. She knew exactly when to be humorous and when to be serious, and she struck the perfect balance that kept everyone focused on what mattered. She did not let the absurdity of the situation distract from the bigger issue at hand.
President Trump is now back in the U.S. after attending the funeral for Pope Francis. Tomorrow will mark 100 days in office for the president.
And he's set to hit the road again tomorrow with the rally in Michigan.
A shift in the political narrative. What Crockett did during GS Week was more than just a moment of political drama. It was a powerful shift in the political narrative. For too long, leaders like Trump have been able to dominate the conversation through spectacle and divisive rhetoric. But Crockett's clear, fact-driven approach is challenging that dynamic. Her fearless confrontation of Trump revealed the vulnerabilities of a man who has built his brand on chaos and controversy, forcing the nation to reconsider who is truly fit to lead. This shift is critical in a time when many Americans are questioning their leaders and the direction of the country. Crockett's message resonates with a public growing disillusioned with political games and looking for authentic leadership that addresses the real issues, rather than focusing on personal gain or rhetoric. Her comments about the Republican Party and its failure to serve the people point to a larger systemic problem, one that transcends individual politicians and touches the heart of the nation's future. The conversation is no longer just about personalities. It's about a vision for the future of America and the kind of leadership needed to bring the country back from the brink. The Republican Party and America's crisis. a wake-up call. While Trump may want everyone to think this was all just a political attack, Crockett reminded us all that laws apply to everyone, even former presidents. Her takedown of the so-called perfect phone calls and the documents found in the bathroom was not just about embarrassing Trump. It was about showing what's truly at stake. A leader who mishandles national secrets is not just making mistakes, they're putting the country at risk, a risk to democracy, national security, and the very system of accountability in this country. And Crockett made it clear, she was not afraid to speak up. In a world full of noise, her words stood out, sharp and impossible to ignore. After she criticized Greg Abbott by calling him Governor Hot Wheels, she did not stop with Trump. She took aim at the entire Republican Party, and she did not hold back. While many politicians prefer to tiptoe around uncomfortable truths, Crockett went straight to the heart of it. She did not hesitate to look the GOP in the eye, metaphorically, or maybe even literally, and tell them they were part of the problem too. This was not just a vague criticism or political attack. Crockett presented real facts, with clear consequences that made everyone in the room pay attention. She was not talking about opinions or theories. She was talking about actual criminal charges, real indictments that have followed many Republican leaders like a shadow they can't escape.
Supporters known as Auto Workers for Trump, well aware Michigan is meant to be the prime beneficiary of Trump's auto tariffs targeting nearby Ontario.
Instead of facing the music, what do? They deny it, act like they do not know what's going on, and treat it like just a political game. Crockett saw right through this act, and she made sure the public did too. She was not sugarcoating the situation either. She called out the crisis America is facing. The games are over, the gimmicks are done, she said, and those words hit hard, like a judge's gavel in court. For years, the GOP has distracted people with stunts, empty promises, and misleading points to keep them divided and misinformed. It is no longer about serving the people. It is about holding on to power, no matter what it costs. Crockett made that crystal clear. Her delivery was sharp but genuine, cutting through all the usual noise. She was not there to play political games. She was warning everyone about the real issues. What's happening on the Republican side is not just disorganized, it is a serious problem. This is clear corruption, and the worst part is they're not even trying to hide it anymore. From the people supporting the January 6th attack to those spreading harmful conspiracy theories, Crockett showed how deep the corruption goes. This is not just one bad actor. It is a whole party that's been taken over by self-interest, extremism, and fear tactics. And she was bold enough to say it on national TV, making it clear for everyone to hear. Then came the moment that really hit home, her comments about Trump having nothing left to lose. You could feel the weight of her words. According to Crockett, Trump is not just dangerous because of what he has done in the past. He is even more dangerous now because he is desperate. He is a man who has escaped prison multiple times and avoided consequences by using his wealth, influence, and loyal supporters who refuse to see his wrongdoings. A person like that will stop at nothing to hold on to power. Crockett was not just making a guess, she was sending a serious warning. When someone like Trump, who is already cornered, still holds so much power, there is no telling what lengths he'll go to next. The rules no longer matter to him, if they ever did. And she made it clear, this is not just about the past or the next election. It is about the very future of democracy and the systems that hold it together. The threat is not coming. It is already here. If we don't wake up and recognize it, we'll all be facing the consequences. So, what do you think? Share your thoughts in the comments section.